All right, children. Before we begin this poem, I would like to ask you a few questions. You all have grown up now, but when you were small, how did you come to know what is right and what is wrong? You understand? Like you should not play with the snake. You should not do this. You should do this. So how did you come to know? Yes, give me an answer.
Ma'am, we have been taught by parents.
You were told by your parents, right? So, and how were you told by your parents? What were the sentences they used?
I don't do this or this is wrong. Something.
Now, if you think, had they not told you that don't do this or this is wrong and do this, you think you would have been able to grow up the way you are now? You would have come to know things which are right and wrong easily?
No, ma'am.
No, because you are not born with any experience, and parents, they tell you, they instruct you by their experience so that you do not fall into any problem, you do not have any problem, and they see to it that you know everything correctly. But how do you feel now as a child when you used to get such instructions every now and then? Mummy, Papa, abhi bhi tumhe bolte honge, pad lo, stop, don't watch television, you have your board exam, study, stop doing this, don't waste your time here and there. They keep asking you questions. Even now, they keep instructing you like this. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So how
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
feel? How do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So how do you feel? How do you people feel when they say all this?
I'm sometimes irritated.
I'm irritated.
Sometimes irritating. Most of the time, in fact, I should say irritating. Why do you feel irritated? What makes you feel irritated?
Because
Ma'am, the
Ma'am, because of
constant
the constant.
Okay, one by one. Yes, Khushi. Aradhya, who was saying?
Ma'am, because of constant scolding, maybe.
Acha, you think that when they keep telling you this is basically a scolding, all right? Anything else? Anybody else?
think that कि हमें पता था ये फिर भी आप क्यों बोल रहे हो?
All right, but the thing is कि उनको लगता है कि you know it and still you're not following it, so you need a revision. So you need a constant instruction. Because if you know, then why are you doing so? That's also one way. And anyway, anything else? So how do you think your parents should raise you then, children? How do you think your parents should inform you what is right and what is wrong?
Ma'am, they can do more creatively.
They can do more? Yes, come on, please speak up. How do you think your parents should guide you?
Ma'am, they can tell us in soft tone also rather than scolding us.
All right, all right. So there we have come to know what is the problem. The problem is not the parent instructing you. The problem is in your parents scolding you, right? Yes or no?
Ma'am.
That's the problem. All right, now I've got it. So the problem is not that your parents are instructing you. You have a problem because they are constantly telling you, but in a scolding way, not in a regular manner. All right. If the tone changes, it is okay for you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it's okay for you. The tone changes. You know why do they say in a scolding manner? Because they also get irritated, na? That they have been telling you constantly and you haven't done it yet. So they also get irritated. That's the reason that they tell you in this manner. All right. But anyway, now this poem revolves around a girl called Amanda. And she probably must be a teenager or 10, 11-year-old or something like this. That's what we can think that her age might be. Because she's constantly being instructed by her mother, telling her that don't do this, don't do that, whatever. And she, on the other hand, lives in a parallel world. It doesn't matter to her what her parents are saying, what her mother is telling her constantly. She lives in her own world and she thinks of different things. She gets so irritated that she has a different thought procession and she lives in that world. So every child feels that she or he is controlled and instructed not to do one thing or another. You too may feel that your freedom is curtailed. All right, but it is not so. They're not curtailing your freedom. They're doing their work as your parents. All right, so we have the poem here. So it starts with, we have basically 2 stanzas for each. And in each stanza, you said that the second stanza is in parenthesis, that is bracket. Now, what is the reason? Because that is the first 3 or 4 lines of what the parent is speaking. And the other 3 lines are basically what the girl is thinking. So to bring a contrast between the word the parent is in and the word that the girl is in, the poet has written this way. She says, don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. So she starts her day with instructions. She might be finding that Amanda is biting her nails. You know, many of you have the habit. If your parents will not instruct your children, you will never ever come to know that, you know, biting your nails or poking your nose in the public and all these are wrong habits. You will never come to know. It's because they have been telling you, instructing you that, you know, that this is the way we have to behave, that we don't have to scratch our head or scratch anywhere in the public, or we don't have to poke our nose and all that stuff. We come to know because the parents tell us. Otherwise, as a small child, we are not born with all this kind of, you know, information, or we don't know this. So here this girl must be biting her nails. She must be sitting, you know, she's not sitting straight, so she's hunching her shoulders. So then her mother here is instructing. She must have seen her sitting like this, so she instructs her. She tells her that, you know, you don't have to hunch your shoulders, you don't have to bite your nails, sit straight, because, you know, this is the way you will have the right posture. On the other hand, this girl is in her own dream world. She thinks that there is a languid emerald sea. You know, languid emerald sea here, languid means something which is very calm and relaxed. Okay. So she thinks there's a languid emerald sea. Emerald is green color. I know it is associated with sea here. So, and where the sole inhabitant, she thinks that she's the only one living in that. Have you understood? She's the only one living in that sea. And she's a mermaid. Mermaid, you know, children? Mermaid is actually a fictitious character, no? Where the living creature is half a kind of a girl or a fairy or a woman, and half it is like fish. Yes. So she's saying that I'm a mermaid and I'm all alone in the sea. There's nobody. I'm drifting blissfully. Drifting means, you know, when we are carried slowly by water. Suppose you throw a piece of wood in water, it'll drift on water. Very slowly with the flow of the water, it'll go. And blissfully means very happily, very nicely. You know, you're feeling very nice. So she think that she wished that she was the only mermaid in a vast sea, and there was nobody to say her anything. Nobody to tell her what to do, nobody to tell her what not to do. She's the only inhabitant. I mean, she's the only one who's residing or living in that vast sea, and there's nobody to tell her what to do and what not to do. Then we have the second stanza in which the mother again instructs. She said, did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. So again, the mother instructing, she's asking her whether she's finished her homework, whether she has cleaned her room. You know, she had told her to clean her shoes. Has she done all that? Because these are the basic work that the mother wants to teach her. She wants her to take care of her things herself. On the other hand, Amanda thinks I'm an orphan. Can you imagine? She's so frustrated and irritated by her mother's constant instructions and nagging that she thinks she's a little girl who she doesn't know what an orphan means, basically. She doesn't understand that if she ever becomes an orphan, what will happen to her? So she thinks I'm an orphan. Orphan, you understand? The child with no parents. So she wished she was an orphan who was roaming on the street and there was nobody to stop her. Nobody to tell her, where are you going and what are you doing, and clean yourself. I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. The silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. She thinks that she will be so happy. She'll be, you know, moving around the street. She'll be making patterns on the dust with her feet. Hushed means silent. Bare feet means she's not wearing any footwear. And she thinks that the silence that will be at that time around her will be golden, because there'll be no parent. There'll be no parent to instruct her. So she thinks there'll be silence around her, because all the noise in her house was basically because of her mother instructing her, that she found very noisy, irritating. So she thinks the silence at that time will be so golden, and the freedom that I would have with would be sweet. It will be a sweet freedom. Again, we have the next stanza where again the mother is saying, don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me while I'm speaking to you, Amanda? No, again, she's instructing. She said, don't eat that chocolate. You should not eat a lot of that, because probably she had acne, and that is going to be, chocolate is going to be one of the reasons to bring forth it. Then she says, will you look at me when I'm speaking to you? Amanda, because children, when they do not want to pay attention to the parents or whoever, they do not look at them, which is a very bad habit, because you must look into the eyes of the person who's speaking to you. So she's telling all this to her daughter so that she learns some manners. And on the contrary, Amanda thinks that I'm a Rupense. I have not a care. Life in a tar is tranquil and rare. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. Now, what is she again comparing herself to? She thinks, I wish I was a Rupenzel. So I did not have to care. Now, you know the story of Rupenzel? She was a princess with long hair, and she was by which she was put at a high tower in a castle with a very huge tower, and then she let her hair down, and the prince used that hair as a rope and climbed up and all that stuff, and then the problems began. So she says, I wish I was a Rupenzel, and I did not have to care for anybody, because I'll be living all alone in the tower. And the life would be so tranquil and rare. Again, by tranquil here, she means calm and peaceful and nice, and rare, something that everybody doesn't get. So I'll certainly never let down my bright hair, means she would never want to be rescued from there. Rupenzel let her hair down. They were huge, long hair, and that was used as a rope, a support for the prince to climb and then, rescue her from the tower. She said, I would never let my hair down, because I would not like to be rescued. I would love to live all alone there. Again, because she's not looking at her mother, she's not responding to her. The mother says, stop that sulking at once, Amanda. She thinks that, Amanda is making that a sorry face. So she said, you're always so moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that and nag at you, Amanda. So she says that stop making that face, because you're always so moody. I keep telling you so many things, but you do not bother. You do not listen to me. And you make such a face that anybody who looks at you would think that I'm a constant nagging mother. And hence, this is the way you behave. Now, what would she do? When the girl is not ready to follow all that she's trying to say, what would this poor woman do? So she is constantly giving her instructions and asking her to behave. And on the other side, Amanda is living in her own dream world, and she doesn't want anybody to tell her how to behave. She wants to lead the life herself. She thinks that her mother constant nagging is like an unwanted intrusion. It is like it is controlling her freedom, and she's not letting her live and enjoy her childhood as she wants to. But then she doesn't understand this, that this is the way the children come to know what is right and wrong, and they grow up to be those beautiful human beings that expected them to be. All right.
Yes,
Children,
ma'am.
before I move further, let's deal with the poetic devices. Now, what are the poetic devices that has been used? In certain PPTs, and probably I do not know how your teachers also might have taught you, I have seen that they are giving rhyme scheme in a constant manner. They are giving rhyme scheme right from the top of the poem to the end of the poem. Children, we will not have such rhyme scheme. Why? Because when the CBSE asks you, they are going to give you one stanza and ask you its rhyme scheme, or they will give you two stanzas and ask the rhyme scheme. They're not going to give you the whole poem and ask you the rhyme scheme of the whole poem. So when you have to give rhyme scheme of one stanza, you always have to begin with A. Have you understood? So if you have to give rhyme scheme for the first stanza, it would be A, then straight as B, then A. There are 4 lines. And then we'll have C, C, and C. C, me, and blissfully all will be C. Have you got it? But if you start from the finish, yes.
And CB and blissfully will rhyme.
Yes, because they have that kind of a sound. See me and blissfully have the same kind of sound. See me blissfully. Again, E sound is coming. So hence it will take up the same rhyme scheme. But although it is Y, but it is giving the sound of all E. So hence it will be C. Then again, if they give you this stanza, again, it starts with A. Then shoes again here will become D, children. You will not make it D. If you're giving the whole poem, then we give it D. But if the CBSE is not going to ask you for the whole poem, they'll give you 2 stanzas. So again, if they give you this stanza, the second stanza, then you will take out like A, again B, A, and then C, C, C. Am I clear? So the basic rhyme scheme of the entire poems is like this. Clear about this? Because in certain PPTs and certain teachers will be telling you that this shoes is now D, and then the street and all, they will say it is now E. If it has to be the whole poem, then it is like this. But CBSE will ask you only 2 stanzas. It can be this stanza, it could be this stanza, it could be the next stanza. Then we have to find the rhyme scheme as per that particular stanza and start with A. Got it?
Yes,
Now moving on to the other poetic devices. See, we have anaphora used here. Anaphora is when you use a particular word at the beginning of every line. So we have don't bite your nails, don't hunt your shoulders, did you finish, did you, all right. So here we have anaphora, which has been used. Then we have alliteration, stop that slouching and sit up straight. Can you see the repetition of S sound? All right. Then we have repetition. Amanda, the word has been repeated again and again. Then we have mermaid, the use of mermaid and the use of Rapunzel. Now this is allusion. Allusion is when you take up one very well-known figure in order to tell you how you are. Like, for example, I told you earlier also, when I was dealing with poetic devices, that somebody who plays good cricket in our school, we can say he's the Sachin Tendulkar of our school. So we mentioned Sachin Tendulkar in order to tell how good he is in cricket. He not be maybe as good as Sachin Tendulkar, but probably in the school team, he is the best and probably the best batsman. So use of mermaid and Rapunzel shows that the poetic device has used here is allusion. All right. And metaphor has been used in the silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. Silence is golden, freedom is sweet. Here you have metaphor. All right. So let's deal with question answers then. How old do you think Amanda is? And how do you know this? Wait a minute.
11, 12.
Mm-hmm. How old do you think she is?
Ma'am, 11 or 12 years.
11 or 12 years. And how do we know this?
Ma'am, by her habits and her mom instructions.
The kind of instruction that her mother is giving her, right?
Yes.
All right. Because of that, you know, plus when they talk about acne, so that also gives a little idea that she must be in her pre-teens or probably teens, isn't it? Next. Who do you think is speaking to her?
Her mom.
Her mother.
Probably a mother. They have not mentioned, but it is generally the mothers who are giving such instructions, no, to their children. So we can expect that it must be the mother. Now, why are stanzas 2, 4, and 6 given in parentheses? Why are they given in such a way?
Ma'am, because Amanda's thoughts are given.
Because
the friendship between
because this is not an essential part. So hence we can only see these are just the thoughts of Amanda, hence it has been put in parentheses. All right. Who is the speaker of stanza 2, 4, and 6? 2, 4, and 6. The one which are in brackets.
Amanda.
Amanda.
Amanda is basically the speaker. She's speaking to herself. All right. Do you think the speaker is listening to the speaker in the stanza 1, 3, 5, and 7? Do you think she's listening?
No, ma'am.
No, she's not. No, she's in her own dream world. She's not listening to what her mother is instructing her. Okay, what could Amanda do if she were a mermaid? What does she think she would do?
Ma'am, she will drift peacefully in the sea.
Yes,
and she was all alone.
Yes, she would drift blissfully in the sea and there'll be nobody to disturb her because she considers or she thinks that she would be the only inhabitant in that place. All right, next question, Akshay. What could, is Amanda an orphan? Why does she say so?
No, ma'am.
Amanda is not an orphan, but then why does she say so? So Amanda thinks that she was an orphan because she doesn't want, she's quite frustrated by the constant nagging of her mother, especially. So she wished that she was an orphan, and now she's thinking it. She's in her own dream world where she thinks that she's an orphan, and there's nobody to tell her what to do and where to go. And so she's moving barefoot, and there is all dust covered all over her feet, but there's nobody to tell her what to do. And she would feel very happy because she will have the freedom to go anywhere and to do whatever. You know the story of Rapunzel and why does she want to be Rapunzel? Yes, Kavi? Kavi, why does she want to be Rapunzel?
Rapunzel was, I think, the some fairy tale, and she was stuck in a castle or something.
No, she was stuck in
Alone.
in a huge tower, yes. So then why do you think Amanda wants to be Rapunzel? Kavi, why do
because
you
she
think?
wants
She wants to be alone.
Because she says she'll be all alone in the tower, so there'll be nobody to tell her what to do and what not to do. Then that little girl has not yet understood that man is a social animal. You need to live with people. You can't live alone. But here, this girl doesn't want to be with her parents. She says that they have, they are constantly instructing her, telling her what to do, and she's not very happy with the way things are happening. All right, Kushi, what does a girl earn for, and what does this poem tell you about Amanda?
Um, she was very moody type of person, and she was lost in her own world, and she wanted to be alone and not to be disturbed by anyone.
Yeah, so she earns for freedom, freedom from constant instructions. She doesn't want anybody to tell her what to do and what not to do. She just wants to lead the way she wants to lead her life. So this poem tells us that Amanda is very moody and very, very adamant of doing things as she wants, right? Read the last stanza. Do you think Amanda is sulking and is moody? Do you think she is so?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You feel she is so?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, she is not sulking, but she is moody.
Yes.
Okay, she's not sulking, but she's moody. But yes, she's
Ma'am,
put
she
off.
was nagging her parents.
She's put off by constant nagging of her parent. That is true, right? So she's put off by the constant nagging of her parents, and that she doesn't like to happen. All right.